Hey, so, I guess that's how this video starts. I suck, I know. I'm trying to do a rookie board. I just got on a podcast or a live stream or whatever it was with other DLF podcasters. Big giants that we are in the podcast world. Family round table or something. Dynasty Outhouse, our new king and overlord at the podcast, DLF podcast family, insists that we all come and talk to each other. So that's fun. No, it really was fun. But we did a rookie draft. We did a Superflex rookie draft. And it got me thinking about my rookie draft board because I really haven't been doing them. I've been doing tiered rankings based on how much I like players' profiles or production in college and doing videos about them here on YouTube. But I wasn't going to do a rookie draft because so much changes with draft capital. And honestly, I find the ADP comes more into line with my production profiles after the draft. Just saying, weird flex, but okay. So I end up getting disappointing a lot. Like, I'm gonna get this player really late and then not, and so I don't want to set expectation too early. And also where it's really a lie, because I'm profiling their production, but then if their draft capital doesn't meet that, that changes the valuation entirely. But since it's now mock draft season, I guess, and the live stream on Monday, we actually ended up using Andy Estridge's new mock draft app, which is really fun, because personally I don't have 10 friends, and it's free, and setting up a mock draft takes so much input, and sometimes it's just 3 a.m. and I want to practice doing some mocks, whether it's startup mocks or whether it's rookie mocks, but all of that, especially rookie mocks, requires some sort of baseline. Where am I at? Who are my first 12 players? What can I refer to do this rookie mock with people? I'm on the open bar next week, which I think it'll come up again. So I decided I'm gonna do that. So what I ended up doing is importing my old rookie board. I was tracking it so I could go back and look like how badly I got things wrong. Basically, for the last 3 years, I've had a rookie board pre and post draft, and I wanted to go back to see what wasn't and was working in my process, which is kind of how I know ADP often comes back into line with my pre-draft ranks, because then my pre-draft board kind of reflects that, and my post-draft board has to drastically change because of it. But anyway, let me show you what I'm talking about. Nearly got that timing down. So yeah, in every sheet I've got, I tend to have this other database link, like in the free and clear, and posted to my timeline on both Twitter and Patreon. My college database, or market share database, or prospect database, or I've referred to it a bunch of different ways, but the one with all the rookie stats for all players going all the way back to 2000, including the 2021 class, along with my NFL database, and now my ranks tab. Now, I used to have a lot more links in here, and it's not that they don't exist anymore, but the ultimate goal is to link any sheet or any stat or any calculation or anything to track that we find useful with my IDs, so I can include them in the NFL or the college database, and then we can connect them up. If we want to connect the NFL database to the college database, I can do that, and we can look up the same number in the other database. But most of the sheets I post are kind of one-offs. I go collect the data set, I grind the numbers, I post them on Patreon, most of the time for free. Sometimes, if patrons have asked me to do it, it's behind a paywall. Right now, or most recently, I've been doing this playing with ADP, and I really like this formula. It's calculating expected points per game based on the average for players drafted at any ADP. And so that gives you an expectation and some baseline for whether you want to draft a player at his current ADP with that expectation. Now, league winners tends to be the ones that over, or league losers underperform those ADPs drastically, and so it's a really interesting formula. Unfortunately, I can only hook it up to DLF ADP because I'm using their names, and frankly, name formats change from one data set to another, which is why I need to hook DLF's names up with my IDs so I can import them to the NFL or even this college database. So instead of just collecting and creating a whole bunch of new collection agents so I can have this little formula, what I'm ultimately going to do is try and link up DLF's IDs with the IDs I already have, and that way I can include that kind of thing in the NFL or the college database. Until I do that, they're just one-off sheets. I have to manually go and collect and link up the numbers for. And so I'm going to stop adding those links into this other database tab until I get them linked up. They are not officially, they're not something I can track over a long period of time. I do really want to, like with that ADP formula, start including it in one of the other databases and make it one of those tabs within those databases. But ranks are something else. Now ranks, I have my NFL ranks and how it differs from DLF's average ranker in Superflex ranks, because I do Superflex ranks for them. Not DLS rankings, just mine, and how it differs from the other guys who are ranking over there. For Patreons, this is a Patreon-only sheet because, I don't know, I gotta give them something. They're literally keeping me they keep funding my data addiction. No one else is doing it. So, yeah. I've got my NFL ranks. I also have my rookie ranks that I keep referring to in those prospect videos. But right now, as I said, these are really just tiers of how productive I think they actually were in college compared to past prospects. Not really a ranking. So it's not helping me out too much with rookie drafts, but it is helping me out getting a sense of how much I like these players and what they did in college, and hopefully it is for patrons as well. So what I did, and why I started off talking about the other databases, is I can't yet link these ranks up to the NFL or CFB database. It's something slightly separate because they're not linked to those IDs, but it's something I'm hoping to do, and that way I can incorporate their ADP formula and incorporate the rankings I've got with the NFL or college database. But for right now, it's kind of separate, but it is going to be a permalink in those sheets because, well, rankings are the third thing I get asked about. You know, what are college stats? What are NFL stats? What are your ranks? So it's going to have to be a link. And that's what I'm doing. But this is my old rookie board, and I just imported literally the way it looks. And I've also got some notes, things I found useful to highlight running along left, including what tiering means, the colors I tier players in. I tend to highlight different positions in different colors, and also because of some players, it's become necessary to have a gray color for I don't know what position this man plays. Utility players, Curtis Samuel level players, right? So that's it. It's just a rookie board, and essentially what I'm doing with a rookie board is ranking how much I like these players if I could draft, every pick at 1 to 112. Now obviously that incorporates ADP a little bit. So I went and looked up ADP, but I'm not trying to draft against anything here. This is just who are my favorite top 12 players. And so the rookie board should really be taken with that in mind. I wouldn't necessarily take this player at this pick because I don't have to. If I have a second round player as like the third overall player that I like, I'm not probably going to take him at 103. But I will say my holistic view, my overall theory, my overall way of playing rookie drafts is I either want to trade up to get the player I want, that I really think is the shiznits, is that a thing? Or I want to trade down and I want to trade out. Now, trading down and out is typically how I play startup drafts as best as possible. But with rookie drafts, I lean much more heavily on trading up. I want to go get my guy. Rookie drafts is where you should really think about doing that. Also, this also requires a lot of base theory, right? How do you do rookie drafts? Do you focus running back or wide receiver? Do you take a tight end in the first round? All of those questions come up. I'm not going to be able to answer a lot of those theory questions in this video because really I'm just looking at this class and I want to get out who are my top 12 players. But that also reflects who are my top 12 players because expectation for quarterbacks and wide receivers and running backs year one have an effect on how I value or how I prefer players. Like running backs are much more likely to have good fantasy production and rises in value in their first year than wide receivers. And they're both more likely to do it than tight ends and quarterbacks, but quarterbacks are much more likely to maintain value. And on the theory discussion runs, and 7 more videos in, and the last time I tried to record this, it was 40 minutes long. So I'm not going to talk about that too much. Really, I just want to focus on who are my favorite top 12 players. So yes, it's a rookie board, but it's not how I would draft every pick entirely. It's just who are my favorite top 12 players once I start breaking down those tiers into actually considering a draft. Maybe if I do it, or it would just be more clear if I just do it, right? All right, so who is my 101 in this class? And based on a lot of things I just said I wasn't going to talk about, I would take Nedjay Harris, 101. Running backs are more likely to succeed. I have almost no questions, and I'm not concerned that he's coming at a later age, even though that is typically a bad sign for running backs. I do have rookie profile videos on all the players I'm going to mention here, so you can see more of why I like or don't like players by watching any of them. And I don't want to make this 40 minutes long again, so just moving on. Yeah, I would have Nedjay Harris 101. This is all draft dependent. If he goes in the 4th round to New York was behind Saquon, then probably not. You get my drift? But right now, I'd take Nedjay Harris. Last year's class, I basically, like everyone else, took 4 straight running backs at the top, while continuously asking questions about, can we have a good running back class when this is clearly a strong wide receiver class? Typically, those two things don't happen at the same time. And it did in 2020, so we got lucky with that. This year, I'm pivoting back and forth between wide receiver and running back much more alternatively. I'm much more confident in some of these wide receivers and some of these running backs as we move down the list. Nedjay Harris being an exception, also Travis Etienne being an exception. So I flip almost straight back to the wide receiver 1 for me, which is Jamal Chase, who I still have yet to do a rookie profile video on, I just realized. So I best get to grinding that out. Next time. After Jamal Chase, I go right back to running back and I take Travis Etienne. I have more draft concerns with Etienne than I do Harris or Chase, so Etienne just below Chase. I had an interesting conversation with John Hogue from the Dynasty Superflex show, and hope to continue that next week on the Open Bar podcast about whether it's ever worth taking wide receivers. I think all of that is draft dependent. Like, no, in theory, you should always lean running backs, especially in where it's always sell running back season, except in rookie drafts. That's where you buy running backs. But it's that class specific, right? Like, I don't like Etienne as much as I liked J.K. Dobbins or Cam Akers last year, and I like Jamal Chase almost as much as I liked Justin Jefferson last year. So within the context of this class, yeah, I would take that wide receiver over that running back, but that's not necessarily the best overall theory for rookie drafts. But yeah, for right now, for this class, that's what I do. After Etienne, though, I have a pretty strong running back 2 tier that I'm actually thinking I want to add Jamal Jefferson too. Right now he's separated out a little bit with Michael Carter, but I haven't dug into him a little bit more than the first look I did on that video. Kind of thinking about bumping him a tier, but for right now, after Etienne, I go back to wide receiver, and I like Rashad Bateman, or Rashad Bateman. I just love him. There's nothing to love about Bebe. Outside of where he's going to be drafted, but we can't know that right now. And so Bateman comes in below Etienne because of positional value, but Etienne comes below Chase because of the confidence I have in this class's positional value. After Rashad Bateman, it gets a little bit more complicated, but I'm going to flip right back to running back. Now, interestingly enough, Kenny Gamewell is number 1 in the next tier of running backs I have, but because of opinions I trust, I adjust, believe it or not, based on what people's processes that I respect and have confidence in. I have more concerns with Kenny Gamewell than his production tells me, and so within that tier, I tend to lean Javonte Williams over Kenny Gamewell right now, and I don't feel great about it because my process pushes me towards Gamewell. But I like his profile about as much as Javonte Williams, and since there's opinions that I trust and respect that have Gamewell below Williams, that's where I'm at. Let's not make this a 40-minute video again, Pete. After Williams, do I stick in that tier? Not really. I still have questions about Kenny Gamewell. I still have questions about Hubbard more than Javonte Williams, despite their prospect profiles being in the same tier for me. And I happen to know both of them are falling below this round because I went and familiarized myself with ADP. So once I put all of that into the formula that is my mixed up, messy head, what I end up doing is flipping back to wide receiver. Again, a risky strategy, very class dependent, since we should focus running backs more heavily in rookie drafts. But yeah, I'm just not letting Rondell Moore fall much further than that. And so after Javonte Williams, I flip all the way back to wide receiver. Now, this is where it gets slightly tricky for me because I want to take Elijah Moore, like right next. Like, I don't want to let him fall any further. But because Elijah Moore has slipped out of that top tier for me, that makes the value calculation of positional value come back into play, and I end up liking that second tier of running back a little bit more, and so that's where I take Gamewell. Yeah, that's where I take Gamewell. If I had to draft or say who are my favorite top 12 players right now, but I do have strong concerns, having taken in other people's opinions of him, but his production's just good. It's just really good in that 1 year, stuff like that. And so after that, I really want to add Jefferson to this tier, but for right now, I don't have him there. So Chuba Hubbard comes up. And again, he's someone you really don't have to take there. But, you know, such is life. I have to update my tiers, and ADP is forcing me in different ways as well. And after Hubbard, would I take a third tier running back in Jamal Jefferson over my next tier of wide receivers? Yeah, I think I would. And this is just where the positional value is pushing me. Like focus running backs and rookie drafts a little bit more. Go get those wide receivers you really love, like Chase, Bateman, and Moore. If you want the wide receivers, trade up or trade out, right? But since I can't do either in a board where I'm the only guy, I switch to positional value, and yeah, that tier of running back just wins out for me. Don't make it 40 minutes. But from there, I do switch back to wide receiver. Like, again, I don't think I like Elijah Moore less than Gamewell, Hubbard, maybe Jamal Jefferson. We might change this live here. But, yeah, I think Gamewell and Hubbard for me are below Moore, but Justin Jefferson isn't. Isn't that weird? But yeah, that's where I am at wide receiver. Don't make this 40 minutes, Pete. Okay, we're changing it. Honestly, we're doing it live. Okay, this is how much I like players. Again, Jamal Jefferson probably wins out for me because of positional value over Elijah Moore, but I really like Elijah Moore, and so I'm pushing him up. Essentially, that's what's happening right now. And then we'll add back in that second tier of running back. And Jamal Jefferson is going to have to move up in my production tiers, because having looked at him a little bit more closely, he just doesn't seem that far away from Gamewell and Gamewell or Hubbard for me. Having dug in a little bit more, but yeah, I'm not fading them any lower than that. I'm just changing the order a little bit. Okay, so green is running back, blue is wide receiver. Elijah Moore comes ahead for me, above Kenny Gamewell and Chuba Hubbard. This is where, honestly, I start to think about Trevor Lawrence and Kyle Pitts. Now, Kyle Pitts has actually got a lot higher ADP than this, and one mock I did, he actually came in at the 105. Just pausing to let that sink in. Now, I don't want to go into this stuff too far, like I said, but unless you're Evan Ingram's the only one to have profiled like a good tight end and hit in year one. That's about it. Most of them, like Travis Kelce, Rob Gronkowski, Jimmy Graham, they weren't even at the head of their class in terms of their overall production in college, because, again, the position is almost custom-made to make it resilient to profiling, although they do have positive indicators that I've since learned to incorporate into how I rank tight ends. Kyle Pitts comes out well with those as well. But, yeah, this was an interesting conversation with Jong Ho too. Like, if he hits in year one, his value is more likely to increase, but very few tight ends ever hit year one. So it really comes down to how confident you are that Kyle Pitts is this once-in-a-moonshot type tight end. I see a very good receiver. I know there's conversations about whether he's a wide receiver or a tight end, but there were those about Ingram as well, so he compares well to him. Personally, I can't ever see me taking a tight end in the first round. I'd just rather take the upside bet at running back, or even lean my preferred wide receivers. And if Kyle Pitts was being drafted here, rather trade Kyle Pitts to get one of those lower wide receivers because their value is as likely to maintain as tight end. And both positions tend to maintain value. Like even Denzel Mims right now, his value has dropped technically, but he's no easier to trade for if you want him, in my experience. Whereas Noah Fant and TJ Hawkinson, their value maintains more regularly than wide receivers, but I found them more easy to trade for, and tight ends are much more likely, even if they have top 12 seasons, which Fant has had now, be slightly easier to trade for after year one than wide receivers. People tend to cling on to wide receivers. So incorporating all of that into the mess that is my mind, I can't see me taking Kyle Pitts, especially with Brevin Jordan and some other good receiving tight ends being taken much later. I hate, again, rookies, I think you should go get your guy, and if Kyle Pitts is that guy, those things really shouldn't factor in. But Kyle Pitts doesn't profile as so great for me as a tight end, that I want to go get him, and that just means I won't take a tight end in my first 12. That's me. Now, Trevor Lawrence is slightly different. Normally, I feel the same about quarterback, but Opinions I Trust essentially put Trevor Lawrence as, someone who could be the Andrew Luck, a quarterback that pays off heavily. The only quarterback I've really ever wanted to take in a rookie draft has been Pat Mahomes, and that's not me flexing. Look how right I got it. I'm not a quarterback evaluator. I just really liked and trusted the opinions of people who do profile quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes, and because he fell in the draft, went to the Chiefs behind Alex Smith, he was kind of easier to get in rookie drafts, and it was just really attractive. That's not that I saw this coming. I really didn't. I don't profile quarterbacks. Just kind of got lucky. But I think Trevor Lawrence is fair to consider. Quarterbacks typically also increase, not maintain, but increase in value after year one. Now the downside is Tua, but Tua honestly for me right now is a buy. Those that don't play a lot and then drop in value are actually it's just a weird process that would cause rankers to do that for me. And so I'm not too worried about the downside either. So I think Trevor Lawrence falls to the end of the top 12, my top 12 favorite players in this class right now. Do we go back to wide receiver after that? And again, Kyle Pitts should probably be in consideration round here. I just don't see it for me. But if you like him, then you should. For me personally, I'm going to switch back to wide receiver and put Devontae Smith here at 112. That looks really low, by the way. Like, I probably like Smith more than Gamewell at this point. But positional value pushes him below. What is a rookie board anyway, really? I could put Smith in there with the more category, because both of them have similar concerns that I tend to focus on less, BMI and height. And I really like Smith's last 2 years. Again, I got a video on him if you want to see the full breakdown. To not make this 40 minutes, I'm going to say this is it. These are my top 12 players and one quarterback rookie drafts. But anyone who actually listens and doesn't just look at the board knows that I kind of like Devontae Smith more than that Gamewell Hubbard tier. Like, I want to put him in there with just below or equal, or maybe, equal to Elijah Moore. That makes me feel uncomfortable, but this is where I'm at, and it's pre-draft, again, so this is top 12 players pre-draft, which means nothing. ADP is going to tell us a lot. The NFL draft is going to affect this wildly, but currently, right now, these are my top 12 players in the 2021 class. Let me know what you think. If any of the random gibbering I was doing while I did that was interesting to you, or you want to hear more about it, let me know, and I can make more content on specifically those elements. Or if you disagree with some of it, I'm happy to answer that in the comments. And let me know who your top 12 players in this class are. And if I should do this video again, but with Superflex. And probably not, by the way, because the real answer is you just take 3 quarterbacks early, and then the order remains the same. Outside of that, and this bottom row of players just gets pushed around too because of the quarterbacks. That's it. It is important to note, though, if you're in Superflex drafts, that the top end of the second round actually has as much value as the bottom end of the first round in other types of drafts. So it actually makes it a fairly interesting trade target for anyone who hasn't cottoned on to that fact yet. But, if you're in a good league, most people are aware of that. So, yeah. just throwing it out there, just in case. But yeah, let me go big screen. Deep breath, because I hate this bit. Oh god, there's my face. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you were interested in who my top 12 players are in this 2020 rookie class, I guess. But yeah, seriously, let me know more. Let me know who your top 12 players are, or who specifically you disagree with around on my top 12. Appreciate you checking it out, and I'll see you again next time. Check out that live stream from Monday, where we did a mock draft both for real startup drafts and also for mock drafts. Man, that sounded like me pushing you towards other content. I'm getting so good at this YouTube thing. So good. But really, so you can get the link for that mock draft tool from Mr. Etheridge, because it's called the Football Workshop, and it's free. It's just, he's an idiot like me. I mean, you can donate to him through Patreon, I think, but definitely through PayPal. But really, it's just this fun mock draft app, and its ADP is updating. The more people use it, the more its ADP will accurately reflect what we actually think. And again, I don't have 11 friends that will mock draft with me every time I want to, so it's nice to have this automated little bot do it with me. And it does shake it up. It doesn't just take the ADP every time, and so every time you restart the draft, it will throw you curveballs, and I really kind of like that, because that reflects more like what it is to draft in startup or rookie mocks. So he's got a fancy little algorithm going there, and I really enjoyed playing with it. And again, a free tool is always something I want to let everyone know about, so we can all have fun with it. And I think mocks are some of the best ways to get practice in, to get our reps in. You know, we can't really work out with fantasy football. It's really just mocking. But they're really useful, and they do help me, at least, while I'm playing Dynasty. Just that practice of drafting really helps me when I'm doing actual drafts. So I strongly recommend it. And yeah, I guess I'll see you on the open bar next Tuesday as well. Well, John Hogue will probably be owning me over the value of wide receivers again, I guess. So yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate you checking it out, and see you next time.